Hey everyone, Pugs here with two new reviews for y'all. Today, I'm covering The Monster Who Came to Bikini Bottom and Welcome to the Bikini Bottom Triangle. Damn, those are some long names. These are some fun episodes because they're part of an old special event, the Legends of Bikini Bottom anthology series. Since these episodes technically aren't specials and I couldn't think of an easy way to make themed graphics for this one, I opted for my normal graphics. But these episodes are still a bit special to me given how nostalgic this special event was. As always, I gotta say thank you to everyone who's watching today. I appreciate y'all a bunch, especially during the more special reviews like this. Though, I guess I did just get through explaining how these aren't special episodes. Whatever, you get the point. So I appreciate you all for sitting through my unnecessary rambling. And with that said and done, let's just get right into it. The Monster Who Came to Bikini Bottom is an episode that is entirely focused on Patrick, which is, well, let's just say it's worrying. I've said before that I don't feel that Patrick can carry episodes on his own unless he has some kind of supporting cast, which is why the Patrick Star Show works. This episode gives him that support in the form of Rarg, the Godzilla illusion, and this works, at least to me. Seems like the consensus is that this is a mediocre episode, just looking from discussions about it, and I guess that means that I'm about to show this episode some much needed positivity. I love the track Another Best Day Ever. Have I said that before? I think I did in my review of One Course Meal. Well, I'ma say it again, because this episode begins with that track, which piques my interest immediately. It's interesting how the music of an episode can influence how I view it, as I kind of touched on in my review of A Day Without Tears. Anyway, it's kind of fun to see what Patrick does when he's all alone, just running around Bikini Bottom, and apparently what he does is accidentally create monsters with radioactive waste and play with snow globes. I appreciate this episode's quickness at getting to the point, with Rarg showing up very quickly. I'm shocked that for once, I think this episode made a good decision by having Patrick lead the charge here. His interactions with Rarg are both fun and cute, and only Patrick could befriend a monster like this. This episode reminds me a lot of that one episode of the Powerpuff Girls where Blossom and Buttercup keep failing to get rid of a monster while Bubbles goes up and politely just tells it to leave, and it does. A classic. Anywho, Patrick and Rarg are both mindless, so it makes sense that they could befriend each other like this. And although I do love their interactions, this part of the episode where they do the snow globe, armpit, and other games stuff is kinda slow, but it's still enjoyable. The hide and seek part was pretty funny though. From here, SpongeBob enters the episode, and I win once again because it's a SpongeBob and Gary moment that we walk in on here. Season 7 keeps doing this for me, I'm telling you. And then I love the predictable misunderstanding we get where SpongeBob thinks Patrick's being eaten by Rarg, because this moment is pretty funny and Tom Kenny's delivery is impeccable as always. And I loved the flashback to yesterday, that was hilarious, Squidward and Mr. Krabs especially, and I love how SpongeBob is like, this is even worse than yesterday, like the events of the previous day were anywhere near as bad as that. I also like that the end of the episode will call back to this flashback. That's what we call tight writing. I like that the whole SpongeBob panicking thing is dropped pretty unceremoniously, as this subverts expectations for how this episode might go. And we yet again get a good use of awkward humor when Patrick realizes that he doesn't know Rarg's name. A year is added to my life every time awkward humor is used correctly, because it can really be so hilarious when it is. The part with Patrick's house legitimately got me laughing because of how silly it was, and that's something I feel has been missing lately, silliness. Just the show completely not being serious, and I'm glad to see it here. The episode then takes a turn as Rarg starts taking a liking to smashing stuff. I liked the look of Patrick's house being shattered, random 3D in SpongeBob is always fun to me, and I loved that when Rarg goes to smash SpongeBob's house, SpongeBob sobers up real quick to save Gary. I'm serious, season 7 is the first season where I've gotten the feeling that Gary is a main character. This is excellent. After this, it doesn't take long for the police to arrive. Man, the police are responsive in Bikini Bottom. The bit with Squidward is hilarious, and I'd like to see Squidward's tantrum actually. Turns out the police are actually very incompetent. I knew it was too good to be true. And then the episode starts drawing to a close when Patrick stands up for Rarg, and when Patrick gives that whole little monologue thing, that was great. I've said before I love these moments of Patrick showing real lucidity. Yeah, we'll call it that. And I love when the same screw that attitude we've always gotten from the townspeople in this show. It's always, or almost always, funny. Poor Rarg though. And when Rarg is run out of town, we get this beautiful background with it, and oh my god, I love backgrounds. This is when SpongeBob gets his idea that calls back to the flashback from earlier in such a great way, And the way this episode ends is actually hilarious to me, with SpongeBob saying Rarg's name and Nat looking on so blankly. I can't help but to laugh. I really liked The Monster Who Came to Bikini Bottom because it did something that I feared wasn't possible, had a Patrick-focused episode that didn't bore me. I also think that this episode is actually hilarious, and I love all the character interactions that we get. A great start to this little anthology series. Now the question is, will it be the best one? Who knows? What I do know is that this episode is being put in my amazing tier, where it comes in with a score of 9.2 out of 10. Continuing with these legends of Bikini Bottom, we've got Welcome to the Bikini Bottom Triangle. And starting with this episode, I realized that the episodes in this anthology series had some really cool looking title cards. I appreciate that. Honestly, title cards are a lost art form. Not for this show, of course, but for cartoons in general. Are there modern cartoons that still even do the title card thing? I think Amphibia did it, but they didn't really make special ones like this show does. Okay, I'm starting to go on a tangent. Let me get focused. The way this episode begins reminds me a lot of Sandy, SpongeBob, and the Worm by pulling us in with this random mysterious thing happening at night. Speaking of night, I loved these shots of nighttime at Bikini Bottom. They're just so gorgeous, and this kind of reminds me of Gone too, with the episode starting at night at least. I also like that the episode gets right into it by having SpongeBob wake up and immediately see that he's missing stuff. And Gary is here too. What did I say about the writers understanding that Gary is a main character this season? We also find out that Squidward and Patrick are missing things too. Small little tidbit I noticed here, but it's so wholesome that Patrick has a picture of SpongeBob in his house. That's so cute. Another thing I love about this episode is that Pearl plays a major role here. I know, a Pearl appearance, I must be dreaming. And I love how she apparently went straight to work when Mr. Krabs went missing. Like, that's his daughter, alright. And it's cool to see that she apparently knows how to work a grill. There are some other small things I love in this episode too. The old Admiral guy who ends up explaining things is a fun character, and I loved the running joke with Patrick's cufflinks. And again, this episode moves very quickly as Squidward and SpongeBob get sucked up into what we'll later find out is a giant vacuum cleaner. Now, one thing I don't particularly like in this scene is how Squidward and SpongeBob find Mr. Krabs with absolutely no fanfare. And then, of course, we get the explanation from Mr. Krabs that he wants to stay on the island so he can resell all of this stuff. He doesn't even care about his business. And also, this plan makes no sense because how can he resell stuff when all of this stuff is stuck on the island? But whatever. Honestly, this feels very out of character for Mr. Krabs in a way. He cares about money, yes, but he cares about making money through his business a little more, I'd say. Unless he is really tunnel visioned on, like, physical money that's right in front of him, like he was in The Scent of Money. At least he cares about his daughter here, even if it is lumped in with a joke about her being stuck with his cash register. Moving on, we meet the mermaids who are causing all of this. Patrick's little crush on them is kinda cute, I have to admit, even if I don't care for romance in this show, especially when it uses characters like Patrick. I also like that Patrick's thing for mermaids is a consistent thing in this show. We saw it in the first movie, and it was brought back in the Cosmic Shake, as a reference to this episode, to be fair. It's always nice to see consistency. And the mermaids themselves are fine. I mean, they're a shallow depiction of teenage girls, but my expectations are in hell for that, so... And when SpongeBob comes back to Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and Pearl, oh man, I have so many little things to say here that I love. First off, I love how Mr. Krabs shows such concern for SpongeBob when he collapses. Like, yes, I've been needing their pseudo-father-son relationship back. And then I love how Squidward and Pearl are just chilling together. I feel like this is a duo that we sorely need to see more. Luckily, I have whale watching to look forward to. This episode keeps the fun plot points coming as Mr. Krabs feeds SpongeBob a Krabby Patty and realizes that neither SpongeBob nor Pearl made that sandwich. This episode makes me realize that the actual secret formula of a Krabby Patty changes from episode to episode. Sometimes the secret formula covers the batter of the patty, while other times it's the whole cooking process. Interesting. But anyway, this new little plot point prevents the episode from getting stale, and I appreciate that a lot. This episode has a whole mystery vibe going on with it, first asking what happened to everyone's stuff, then how to get out of the Bikini Bottom Triangle, and now who's cooking the Krabby Patties. It's nice. In the end, I like how the savior of the day is capitalism, the mall, and Pearl's teenage wisdom. Well, I suppose SpongeBob's knowledge of musical theory helps too. And the resolution of the episode is great too. I like that this episode has an actual feeling of resolution, with everyone getting their stuff back, and then us finding out that the Admiral guy is the one cooking the patties and not Plankton. And I love that we get an ending to the Patrick cufflink joke too. I like how they purposefully made us forget all about that bit, because it makes this ending even better to me. Just a very well-crafted ending to this very well-crafted episode. I think Welcome to the Bikini Bottom Triangle is a fun episode with lots of surprising character interactions. I also don't think it's particularly funny, though it does have its moments, but it is very enjoyable and I think the plot is very interesting, so it evens out. And so that is why this episode is being put in my amazing tier with a score of 9.1 out of 10. Not too high up there, but it still made it. That's an accomplishment. As always, I'll be ending this video with some closing thoughts of mine. So these reviews are very, very close to the original written ones, and I just feel like being transparent about that because there really wasn't much I felt like I needed to change here. Usually I like to add new stuff, but not this time. It just didn't feel necessary. These episodes were good and solid and perhaps underrated in a way. Since I am in this little anthology series now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other anthology series that rocked my childhood, the Wishology series from Fairly OddParents. Now that was real television. Seriously, so fucking nostalgic. Did anyone else here watch those? Because they were so good. And yeah, I feel like that's really all I have to say for you guys today. So I guess I'll just close things out here, and I will see you all in the next review.